thank you to our friends over at the Associated Press for this story. A New York judge has ordered that Donald Trump and his companies on Friday will have to pay $355 million.
Damn.
Yes. Yes, damn.
Money.
Yes, $355 million in penalties. Good Lord. Finding that they have engaged in a years-long scheme to dupe banks and other companies, and others with financial statements that have inflated his wealth. Now Trump won't have to pay out the money immediately as the appeals process plays out, but the verdict is still a stunning setback for the former president. If he is ultimately forced to pay, the magnitude of the penalty on top of other judgment could dramatically diminish his financial resources, and it undermines the image of a successful businessman that he's carefully tailored to power his unlikely rise from a reality TV buffoon to a one-time and perhaps future president. Judge Arthur Engoron concluded that Trump and his company were likely to continue their fraudulent ways without the financial penalties and other controls he imposed. Engoron concluded that Trump and his co-defendants failed to act responsibly and that experts who testified on his behalf simply denied reality. He said this is a venial sin, not a mortal sin. Engoron, a Democrat, wrote in a searing 92-page opinion, they did not rob a bank at gunpoint. Donald Trump is not Bernard Madoff. Yet defendants are incapable of admitting the error of their ways. He said their complete lack of contrition and remorse borders on pathological. And the frauds found here leap off the page and shock the conscience. Now, Trump has built his career as a real estate titan. He was also barred from serving as an officer or director of any New York corporations for 3 years after getting a loan from banks registered in his native state. His eldest sons, Trump Organization Executive Vice Presidents Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, were ordered to pay $4 million and were barred from being officers of New York companies for 4 years. Their former chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, was ordered to pay $1 million. Trump has called the verdict a complete and total sham. He wrote this on his Truth Social platform that New York Attorney General Letitia James has been obsessed with getting Trump for years, and that Engoron's decision was an illegal, un-American judgment against me, my family, and my tremendous business. The total $364 million verdict, which James' office says grows to $450 million, adding interest, keeps the Trump Organization in business. The judge backed away from an earlier ruling that would have dissolved the former president's companies, but if upheld, the verdict will force a shakeup at the top of the company. In a statement, Letitia James said that justice has been served and called the ruling a tremendous victory for the state, this nation, and everyone who believes that we all must play by the same rules, even former presidents. Now Donald Trump is finally facing accountability for his lying, cheating, and staggering fraud, because no matter how big, rich, or powerful you think you are, no one is above the law, James said. Trump's lawyers vowed to appeal. Attorney Alina Habba called the verdict manifest injustice and a culmination of a multi-year politically fueled witch hunt. Trump lawyer Christopher Keese called the income draconian and unconstitutional fine and a corporate death penalty for Trump, his family, and businesses. Engoron issued his decision after 2.5-month trial that saw the Republican front runner bristling under oath that he was the victim of a rigged legal system. The stiff penalty was a victory for James, a Democrat who sued Trump over what she said was not just harmless bragging, but years of deceptive practices as he built multinational collection of skyscrapers, golf courses, and other properties that catapulted him to wealth, fame, and the White House. James sued Trump in 2022 under a state law that authorizes her to investigate persistent fraud in business dealings. This suit has accused Trump and his co-defendants of routinely puffing up his financial statements to create an illusion his properties were more valuable than they really were. State lawyers even said Trump exaggerated his wealth by as much as $3.6 billion. Oh, Lord.
Damn.
Good God. Oh, man. By making himself seem richer, Trump seemed qualified for better loans, saved on interest, and was able to complete projects he might otherwise not have finished, state lawyers have said. Even before the trial, Engoron ruled that James had proven Trump's financial statements were fraudulent. The judge ordered some of Trump's companies removed from his control and dissolved. An appeals court has put that decision on hold. In that earlier ruling, the judge found that among other tricks, Trump's financial statements had wrongly claimed his Trump Tower penthouse was nearly 3 times its actual size and overvalued his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, based on the idea that the property could be developed for residential use, even though he had surrendered his rights to develop it for any uses but a club. Trump, one of 40 witnesses to testify at this trial, said that his financial statements actually understated his net worth, and that banks did their own research and were happy with his business. He said there was no victim, there was no anything. And during the trial, Trump called the judge extremely hostile and an attorney general a political hack. In a 6-minute diatribe during closing arguments in January, Trump proclaimed, "I am an innocent man," and called the case a fraud on me. I could only imagine. Trump and his lawyers have said outside accountants that helped prepare the statement should have flagged any discrepancies, and that the documents came with disclaimers that shielded him from liability. They also argued that some of the allegations were barred by the statute of limitations. The suit is one of many legal headaches for Trump as he campaigns for a return to the White House. He has been indicted 4 times in the last year, accused in Georgia and Washington, D.C. of plotting to overturn his 2020 election loss to a Democrat, Joe Biden in Florida of hiding classified documents, and in Manhattan for falsifying business records related to hush money payments to porn actress Stormy Daniels. On Thursday, a judge confirmed Trump's hush money trial will start on March 25th, and a judge in Atlanta heard arguments on whether to remove Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis from his Georgia interference case because she had a personal relationship with the prosecutor she hired. So basically, look, look, I think you can make the argument that a lot of these cases are politically motivated. But as I've said with every case against Trump, he's also guilty. He is guilty. And so if you are guilty and you know the establishment has it in for you, then that's kind of your own fault. That's kind of your own fault. I'm sorry. It really is. I can't say that I feel sorry for Donald Trump at this moment. You know, he made his bed and he decided he's going to have to lay in it on some level. Now, I will say this will be out and out humiliating if Biden continues losing to a game show host who's been like under indictment and has been completely, penalized by the legal justice system. If Biden loses to Trump after all this, the media is, if you listen to the show, you know I've gone into all the ways that the media is cheating for Joe Biden. Not just against Trump, but against Dean Phillips, against Marianne Williamson, against Robert F. Kennedy Jr., against anybody who would challenge him in any way. We've talked about how, the entire media is on his side. The legal system is on, much of it is on his side. Wall Street's on his side, just like in last time. He outraised Trump 3-1 from Wall Street. Hollywood, basically the entirety of the elite apparatus supports Joe Biden and is doing everything in their power to make sure Joe Biden wins this election. So if Joe Biden loses to this guy, this corrupt game show host, clown prince of capitalism, it will be the most hilarious and humiliating victory in the history of politics. Currently, Trump is beating, I think, Biden in virtually every poll. But as I talked about last week, I got lectured by my former teacher, Miss McCready, on Monday because I said last week about white women loving abortion. Obviously, I was a very insensitive and flippant in how I made the remark. But the point I was trying to illustrate is that white women are a swing voting group. And so abortion, they are the only people who are really one issue voters. A lot of them. They vote based on abortion. Like, black people don't vote based on one issue being abortion. Black people are generally going to vote for the Democrats regardless. Hispanics, Asians, other minority groups don't just vote on one issue. Voting on abortion, whether you're pro or against abortion, is generally a hallmark of white privilege. Keep it 100. Because nobody else has the ability to just make abortion the center of one's... Hold on, caller. I'm coming to you in a minute. Nobody else has the ability to make abortion the center of their political world, other than like privileged white people, the conservatives who hate it, the liberals who love it. And so that's the point I was making. And so what we've seen in recent history in the last 2 or 3 election cycles is that the Democrats have been bailed out by all these angry white women. All these angry, really super angry white women who have come out in droves to vote for the Democrats and to vote vote for abortion. And so Joe Biden has that going in his favor as well. If he loses to Trump, in spite of all this, it will be the most humiliating loss in the history of politics. Let me get this caller. Hello, caller.
How's it going, Scott?
What's up?
Yeah, man, I just called in your show. You always have a good show, but it be, filled with a lot of holes too now,
Okay.
But no. You always have a top flight show, son.
Well,
but listen to me. This is what I want to say. Now, we're going to start off. Remember, I heard somebody else, just what they had on when, even you kept mentioning it, that $10 million that President Biden got and his son. There was never a $10 million payout from that Akisa, whatever you call it. I can't say the name right.
What happened now?
But you say what now?
What did you say now?
Don't you know that $10 million that you all was saying that the president's son had got?
$10 million from who?
Don't you remember they said that $10 million came from Ukraine?
He was on the board. He was on the board at Burisma.
No.
Yeah.
He never got the $10 million.
He was on board. He got $83,000 a month on the board of Burisma. That's what he did.
He never got $10 million.
I don't know how much it was. I don't know how much it was. How long he was on the board, but he was on the board. He admits this. He was on the board at Burisma.
Listen, that was money he was getting paid for being on the board. But
yes, how did he get on the board? How did he get on the board? The issue is that he was on the board in the first place. This is a guy who had no background, no history in energy whatsoever. He was a crackhead who was in the military. He had no business being on any companies, especially a company that was as corrupt as Burisma, that was found to be run by corrupt people. And
Let's not call the man a crackhead, man.
He was a crackhead.
Drug problem.
He was.
The man had a drug problem.
Joe Biden mass incarcerated the entire black community. I have no problem slandering the Bidens. For Joe Biden spent the entirety of the 80s and 90s languishing and laughing at the drug problems in the black community. So no, I'm not going to spare his son or his daughter, because his daughter's a crackhead too.
I'm not saying spare his son or daughter, but don't disperse the man. The man had a illness. He had a drug problem.
And so did all the people Joe Biden put in prison. So did all the people Joe Biden put in prison.
If you're going to do that, you talk about the drug cartels.
So did all the people Joe Biden put in prison. All the people Joe Biden put in prison, all the black people in this city right here, in Chicago, everybody else, they all had drug problems too. And Joe Biden said specifically, there should be no mercy for drug addicts. That's what Joe Biden said.
Listen, okay, listen. Now don't try to overlay what I'm saying. I've heard you mention the $10 million too. Now let's get past that. Okay, let's get past the 10 mil, all right? Because we ain't going nowhere with that one, all right? Now listen, okay, now you said he didn't have no type of paperwork that would say that, hey, he was qualified to be on the board.
He wasn't.
Okay? Well, now hold on now. When you came there, was you qualified to do the job that you was doing? Now let's get past that.
I'm not on the board. I'm not on the board of like a multi-billion-dollar energy company.
That's okay. He had on the
like I'm a radio. I work at a radio station. He's on the board of a multi-billion-dollar company. I think there's a big difference.
On-the-job training is on-the-job training.
He was on the board. He wasn't training. His father just so happened to be the vice president of the United States and in charge of Ukraine policy, and got the prosecutor who was looking into the corruption of Burisma fired. You're comparing that to me working at WLTH? Come on now.
Listen, no, I'm just talking about when you came there, you was not qualified. They brought you in and they gave you a job.
How qualified you got to be on the radio? Again, this man was on the board of a multi-billion-dollar energy company. That is a lot different than working at a radio station. Okay,
tell me this. When a fry cook goes to McDonald's and starts frying French fries, it's a lot different than frying French fries at home in a skillet. He get on the job training.
You're comparing being on a he was on the board. He didn't work for Burisma. It was a no-show job. He didn't do anything at Burisma. He was just on the board because his father was the vice president and in charge of Ukraine policy.
That's not so. They throwing all that out.
Yeah. What did he do at Burisma? What did he do at Burisma? What did he do at Burisma? What did he do at Burisma?
Let's get past that. Let's get past that.
Don't bring that up.
When we at with that, hey, we ain't going to get nowhere because you saying what you saying. Like I said, you frying French fries at home.
You're comparing that to being on a multi-billion-dollar company. He was on the board. He didn't do anything at Burisma. It was a no-show job.
That was a sweet gig then when you could kick up your legs and make that kind of money, put your legs on the desk, and you raking that kind of money in. I call that being sweet. That's a sweet
I call that corruption. If your father got you that job, if your father got you a no-show job, and he's in charge of the policy of a country that is the most corrupt country in Europe, that's called corruption, sir.
I tell you what, you go out to U.S. Steel, if you was working right now, U.S. Steel, plenty of people got jobs that wasn't qualified. That Danny worked there in the big office, and he said, bring my son.
They at least got to show up.
And let's give him a job, okay?
They at least got to show up. Hunter Biden didn't even have to show up.
Let's get past that part and talk about this right here. Now, we just had a distinguished person pass away. That's Glorious.
I was just about to get into that on the next segment.
Okay, but this is what I want to say about that. He was 83 years old. He was on the ball, okay? So you can't dismiss. Now, you're going to talk very highly about him. At the same time, you'll put an 81-year-old man down that have to
because Joe Biden has dementia. Joe Biden Joe Biden literally just this week confused
You're not
the
a doctor. I done heard you.
Joe Biden literally just this week confused the president of Mexico with the president of Egypt. He also thought that the president of the prime minister of France was Mitterrand, who's been dead for 25 years. He thought he couldn't remember when he was vice president. He couldn't remember when he was vice president.
Wait a minute. You just called the district of attorney in Georgia name wrong. You pronounced her name is not Fanny. You just said that. People misspeak.
Every time Joe Biden opens his mouth, he misspeaks. But thank you for your call. I got another caller. I got to go to this next caller before I go to a break. But thanks for calling. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Oh, come on. You couldn't wait for like a minute? I'm sorry, everybody. But yes, the last caller just blew the lid off of the next topic. Yes, when we get back, we're going to talk about the passing of Mr. Clorius Lay, a very important figure here in Northwest Indiana. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after these.